and let us all do we can to build a better future.
You know, I love doing this show, and I love collaborating with all our colleagues in independent media. So listen, as a favor for me, send everyone at Do Dissidence, much love and respect, because yes, we all know that Russell has been doing a fantastic job hosting none other than the Jimmy Dore Show. Jimmy Dore, host of the Jimmy Dore Show here from Chicago, Chicago's very own. But now Keaton is also putting himself on the front line. He's on the Fury Road to New Hampshire, and I'm going to play this video in its full entirety. I'm not going to interrupt it whatsoever. So let's listen out how you guys can help him out, what he's going to be doing there. Obviously, you know, it looks pretty cold on that way there. So Keaton, in the off chance you see this video, I hope that you're safe. Take it easy, drink water, and perhaps we can talk. If we can, we could schedule it, maybe get your thoughts on the ground in New Hampshire, what you see there, and so much more. So thank you so much, Keaton. And I did also reach out to him via text. So Keaton, tell the people, what is going on?
What's up, everybody? Keaton Weiss live. That's how Jordan Sheridan signs on. Jordan Sheridan live. Speaking of Jordan, I'm starting to understand now that I'm on the road, headed to the great state of New Hampshire for our on-the-ground primary coverage. That's right, on-the-ground primary coverage this weekend. I'm starting to understand why he feels so superior to everybody who doesn't go on the ground. I mean, look at me. I got the camera mounted in the car. I'm driving safely, keeping my eyes on the road. I'm not getting distracted and looking at you guys. Only when the car stopped, it's a red light. It's cold out. I'm battling the elements. I have an itinerary. You got to keep moving. It's a lot easier than just sitting on your ass and doing a podcast. So I'm starting to feel like I'm really superior to everyone in my space who simply sits and talks. It really feels good. I really feel proud. And if this video gets any less than 500,000 views, I'm going to be very bitter and angry about it, and I'm going to have a chip on my shoulder about it for many years. So you have an obligation in the audience to like this video, share it. You have an obligation to subscribe to my channel. You should really pay $5 a month to support my on-the-ground reporting. And if you don't, you're part of the problem. You know, you may say that you care about the issues, but unless you subscribe to my channel and support my show, then you're obviously full of shit. And, you know, look, I mean, that's the way it goes, unfortunately, in this space. See, I'm getting angry already. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Maybe I should turn around. I'm already getting bitter. I already know that this is going to end up probably in the 11 to 12,000 view count range, and that's just not enough. That's just not enough. And I'm not going to blame the algorithm. I blame you. I blame you, and I blame everybody else in this independent left media space for being just lazy, drama-addicted hypocrites. And so I'll check in when I'm in a better mood. Thanks.
Hey, you heard him. Hey, listen, that freaking video better get over 100 billion views today. And you look, and by proxy, because I'm playing a video of Keaton on the road being like Jordan Sheridan, I better by proxy get 1 million views, or I will be bitter, and I will be angry, and I will be Furious George. Not Curious George, but Furious George, okay? So that's what's going to happen. Oh, hey, listen, and there better be $5. I want to see Abraham Lincoln all over the place, okay? I want Abraham to be dancing all over the place, like right now. So, look, seriously though, Keaton, I hope you're safe on the road. Please be safe. You know, I hope that the video does get over so many views and everything else. I remember what it's like to do field reporting too. But let's talk about what's going to be happening in New Hampshire, because a lot of things are going to be happening in New Hampshire. A lot of things are going to be happening in New Hampshire. So let's go ahead and pull this up here, because apparently, as it stands, because there's going to be a lot that Keaton will see firsthand there. Hopefully, he'll give us his thoughts on the ground. New Hampshire voters to pressure Biden with ceasefire right in on the primary ballots, because that's going to be happening. With less than a week until New Hampshire's presidential primary on January 23rd, critics of the U.S. support for Israel's war in Gaza are urging voters in the state to put ceasefire on the right-in portion of their ballots rather than the Democrat President Joe Biden. It'd be interesting to see a ceasefire supersedes Biden. I am very curious if that would be the case. Because the battle between the Democratic National Committee and New Hampshire leaders, Biden opted to keep his name off the ballot, which will include long shot candidates U.S. Representative Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson. Audience, there's a name I'm forgetting. Somebody else is running too, but they kind of made a big deal, but I don't know. Is it somebody important? Probably not. However, some of the president's supporters have been encouraging voters to write in his name next Tuesday. The Vote Ceasefire campaign arose organically in recent weeks after a University of New Hampshire professor and formerly elected official, Andrew Walensky, floated the idea in a letter to the editor. NBC News' Alex Fitzwaltz reported earlier this week. Walensky, who was previously elected to the New Hampshire Executive Council and ran for the Democratic Party's gubernatorial nomination in 2020, explained in the Concord Monitor that writing in ceasefire is not an endorsement of the violence that occurred on October 7th, nor an effort to undermine the president. It's a matter of using the agency that the primary affords me to vote my conscience. I think a lot of people are upset with that. You know, we have a system in which there is unchecked corruption. We have a system in which also we have a president ignoring and doing nothing about the ongoing conflict that's happening in Gaza. And right now, I do want to pull up something here as well, because New Hampshire is going to be a very interesting event, because while the Democratic Party isn't getting the views that it once did, because 2016 and 2020 were high point years that Bernie Sanders managed to trick all of us into supporting him, there is going to be the Republican primary that's going to be taking place in New Hampshire. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Trump potentially losing New Hampshire. Now, I don't see him getting a massive, overwhelming victory, but I do see him winning the state. But there are many people in corporate media and the Republican establishment, and surprisingly, liberal Democrats, whom I've covered on this show before, liberal Democrats supporting Trump Republicans because they wanted the more moderate Republicans to beat the Trump Republicans. We have liberal Democrats supporting the moderate Republicans so they could beat Trump. Most notably, they are supporting Nikki Haley. That's not her name. So I want to pull up this video here of Tucker Carlson, because I'm very curious to see what Keaton sees and what else we find out in regards to New Hampshire, especially with the Republican primary and overall how voters there are going to be voting, because right now the Democrats really don't have anything to really stand on.
Now, if Nikki Haley wins or even does very well in New Hampshire, it'll be a big story, of course, and we'll hear a lot about it. But then what happens? It's a long primary process. New Hampshire is just one small, heavily wooded state out of 50. Will Republicans in other states back Nikki Haley too? Will she win a string of these? Well, they're not going to vote for her voluntarily. Haley can only become the Republican nominee if Republican primary voters have no one else to vote for. So the plan works like this. Ron DeSantis drops out after losing a few contests in a row. He simply runs out of money and has to head back to Florida. That could happen. And at that point, liberal donors swing as a block behind Nikki Haley, giving her bottomless resources. That's already happening right now. And then critically, Donald Trump goes to jail. And that could happen too, to be honest. And at that point, bam, Nikki Haley wins the Republican nomination by default. Now, it's not a foolproof plan. A lot could go wrong. But at this point, it's the only plan. It's all that Democrats have. Joe Biden is going to have a very hard time getting reelected, much less serving another term. It's impossible to imagine that. Yet the party cannot replace him, because that would leave Kamala Harris, who is even more unpopular than he is. Because Harris is a member of the new master race, she cannot be booted off a presidential ticket. She must be shown maximum respect at all times, no matter what she says or does. And so that means the Democratic Party is stuck with two fatally unpopular candidates. It's their doing, of course, but it's a massive problem. They can't get out of it. So their only option at this point is to run a Republican who has the same views as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And that is exactly what they're doing right now, no matter what they tell you. And that candidate's name is Nikki Haley.
And so there's a lot of hype surrounding her because there's been a lot of articles coming out saying that Nikki Haley is the person that can beat Trump. Now, I covered a video about crazy Nikki. That's not her name, Haley. In regards to talking about unending war and the fact that Donald Trump can capitalize and say, oh, Nikki Haley, there's not a war that she doesn't love. You have Nikki Haley, pro-war for Ukraine, pro-war for Israel, pro-war in Yemen, and now pro-war with Taiwan. So in other words, war in Ukraine, oh yeah, she's okay with instigating with Russia. The conflict in Israel with Gaza, oh, she's okay with all the buildings being destroyed and what 25,000 dead women, children, men. She's okay with an ongoing conflict that's happening in Yemen. And what could possibly go wrong with instigating China, a global economic superpower, for a small island called Taiwan? Listen, it's the world's most one-sided fistfight caught on film. But for somebody like Nikki Haley, I guess being a foaming at the mouth pro-war candidate seems to be getting votes for her. And the thing is, Trump, yes, he does have legal issues, and there is a possibility that, yes, he could be done. There is a possibility. But knowing how many times the Democrats and liberals have come at Trump with all these legal cases and indictments and lawsuits, there's a very good chance that Donald Trump can walk away from this. And as I said before, and other people said before, Republican voters want Trump. They want Donald Trump. I see Trump actually winning New Hampshire. And I will be surprised if it's a massive overall win, because there's a lot of talk about how in New Hampshire it's a little bit of a different environment. But I think Trump could potentially pull off another victory in New Hampshire. And even if he doesn't, if it's tied or he's in a second place, a close second place, he's got so many other states in which he can win. He's not going to go away. He's never going to go away. So I want to pull up this article here. Representative Matt Gaetz to stump for Trump in New Hampshire. So let's talk about it. Representative Matt Gaetz will be speaking at a campaign event in New Hampshire Sunday for former President Trump. Just days before the state's primary is set to begin, Gaetz, a strong supporter of the former president, will appear at a rally at Canadian, New Hampshire. Trump's campaign announced. The former president, seen as the GOP frontrunner in the race, easily won the Iowa caucuses Monday with a double-digit lead over his rivals, while former South Carolina Governor Nikki, that's not her name, Haley, took the victory in one of the 99 counties. She came in third place behind Florida Governor High Heel Ron, the cowboy heel wearing boy, the sanctimonious. He's that high heel cowboy. PBD, you did him dirty, man. You really did him dirty, man. Trump's near sweep in the Hawkeye state demonstrates his command over the Republican Party. Now, with just days left until the second voting contest of the year, the former president is attempting to hold a lead as Haley continues to gain momentum in the state. According to the Hill Decision Desk HQ polling average, Trump currently leads the state with 45.6% support. Haley, who has made significant strides in recent months, is in second place with 35% support. Now, the thing is, voter turnout's key. And look, the sanctimonious, a weak 5.8% support. Gaetz once said DeSantis would make a good candidate for the GOP in 2024, but only if Trump was out of the picture. In the spring, he also floated a ticket with the governor and former president teaming up, calling the prospect terrific at the time. The Hill has reached out to the Florida lawmaker for a comment, which they're not going to get. So, look, there's a lot that Keaton's going to see there on the ground. I hope he gets there safe, sound, and I hope he gets over 100 million, a billion views on all the videos that he does. You know, he should do all the interviews in his car. Keaton, please be safe here. You're doing some phenomenal work there at Dissidence. Russell, keep on killing it for the Jimmy Dore show, of course. But what can we really gain from the 23rd? Now, that's going to be in 3 days. January 23rd, what day will that be? That's going to be a Taco Tuesday of all days. Should we be on the edge of our seats wondering who's going to win what and what will happen in the Democratic primary? No. At the end of the day, these electoral politics won't really matter because I foresee 2020 repeating itself. We got old man Biden versus Donald Trump, two old men fighting over a cold bowl of soup. What's going to matter more are the states that have citizen ballot initiatives. What's going to matter more is the third parties and independents trying to get on the ballot. And I'm not talking about just the presidential candidates. I'm talking about third party and independent candidates that are running for U.S. Senate, the U.S. House of Representatives, and state and local elections. And it's important for you, the voters, to know your rights. And I'm encouraging everyone here in the Hard Lens media community, and to a greater extent, independent media community, to inform us, especially some of the commentators, about if you live in a ballot initiative state, what is up for a vote. And if there are independent and third-party candidates that need coverage, reach out to us. Reach out to all of us in independent media. Because I think we need to start talking about these third-party candidates like Greens and Libertarians and Socialists and Independents who are running for local or state or, yes, even U.S. held elections here for the 2024 election cycle. We here at Hard Lens Media have interviewed independents, and, you know, while it doesn't matter who becomes president, I think it does matter about voter engagement and awakening the 50%, the silent majority that no longer identifies itself as Democrat or Republican. So I hope that this can be done. And all the best to Keaton. Be safe on the road, brother. All the best to you.